in this collective paper, we discuss Mongolia's West sector and management from a variety of perspectives, ranging from the traditional knowledge of respecting nature and environmentally friendly culture to the contemporary condition of managing central landfills and to potential technological solutions for producing energy from waste ash. So I would like to begin by mentioning how the Mongols preserved and respected the natural environment. So my co-presenter, Professor Sorun, she's sitting there, has provided us with some of the facts mentioned in historical records. So the need to survive in a vast area with 4 alternating seasons and a thin layer of soil has led to the creation of a society and culture that respects nature and ecologically friendly living. Domesticating animals, fundamental to Mongolia's development, has cultivated a culture of knowledge, love, and protection of the natural world, along with religious taboos and a simple way of life. While the Mongols built many towns along the rivers Arkhang and Siling, their culture respecting nature prevented them from filling the rivers with garbage. So articles from historical legal documents like IISNC contain such regulations. Furthermore, there were also very strict punishments aimed at protecting nature, as in the Article 126 of the Halukjorum, which prohibited cutting down of dry or wet trees, of killing of animals in the surrounding area of encampments. In addition, Article 176 said, take a horse from each person who sets fire, regardless of how many people they involve. And also for digging holes in the ground and setting fires to pastures, people or members of their families could be killed under Article 119 of the IISNC law. Next, in general, in their daily lives, the Mongols use natural raw materials such as wood, stone, grass, and leather, as you can see here in the slide. So let's say that if you throw away a bucket of straw, death, or rope with leather strap, a pair of shoes, or leather coat, they will lie in the soil for many years and pollute the environment. But if the owner cut them into pieces, the sun, wind, and rain will easily eat them off, allowing them to leach into the soil. And not only laws and customs, there are religious taboos. So if bones and hair are left in the homestead, livestock and fortune will be lost, the household will be poor, and pasture will be degraded, etc. So the laws and land masters will be angry if you throw anything that is considered dirty, such as hair stains, nails, garbage, ice, and blood. In addition, dirt does not only refer to physical materials or visible substances. In oral literature, actions such as slandering and gossiping were equated to dirt. The concept of garbage is viewed by Mongols as a consequence of human actions against nature and the world, which violate the custom of being clean both mentally and physically. In terms of content and meaning, the word garbage encompasses a wide range of things, and it can be understood as something degrading to human nature and the world order. So the first part of our collective presentation provided some historical context, and the second part of our presentation will present contemporary ethnography research on the Lanchlood dump site. This anthropological analysis of the everyday life of waste workers at the biggest landfill in Mongolia will raise the question about wider systematical issues such as Mongolia's waste management, medical waste management, social welfare system, and the state's policy on the informal sectors in Mongolia in general. So, the phrase Hogin was repeatedly mentioned by the waste pickers, which emphasized the value of waste And how waste speakers use the term boying when they refer to waste indicates that waste is also treasure and baizak or wealth for them. So in short, they live on hagin boyang. As an introduction to the Ulanchulu dump site, I would like to share a vignette from my field notes. So, this one. The traces of the smoke of burning materials led me to the birds in the sky. Hundreds of flying birds make the sky almost like a towing and thrown roof, and dark curtains of the smoke block the sunlight. When Toktok and I were resting after collecting some plastic bottles and collectively looking up to the sky, I asked, "How do you feel about the birds here?" He shared his many years of observations about them and said, "They will soon disappear but always return because they belong to this place." So do I. They are beautiful creatures. After I die, I want to become one of them. There were times he attempted to find other stable jobs or temporary work at the construction site. However, he always came back to the landfill. For waste workers like Toktok, finding stable job requires too much paperwork and documents that they cannot provide. And working in construction is hard labor for old age, and it's a seasonal job with low wage. So, Toktok is one of 170 people regularly work at Ulanchulu landfill. So this landfill is a source of income for waste pickers every day. So as you can hear, I mostly focus on the human dimension at the landfill. So I would like to briefly describe the Ulanchulu community. Since 2019, the Ulanchulu has been part of the 36th Horo administrative unit of Sanghagan district, where about 170 people regularly work and then collecting secondary raw materials and earn a living by selling them to intermediary buyers or change. People from neighboring districts as well as those from those sub-districts come to work at Ulanchulu. Additionally, since their livelihoods are different, it's impossible to generalize the situation. The reasons for working in landfills can be traced back to a variety of factors. For example, unemployment, alcoholism, a lack of permanent address, a lack of registration, homelessness, discrimination, illness, and livestock loss in Zot that led herders from rural areas to migrate. Some of them do not have any registration in their sub-districts or Horo, nor do they have digital or physical identity cards to prove they are citizens of Mongolia. So this is Toktok's home shelter office or communal space to spend time with other waste pickers. So they mostly store their plastic bottles and other items in that house and cook and sleep also. Toktok's basically his home. So when I first visited the Ulanchulu landfill in 2012, I have been struggling to get over my emotions and bodily shocks for months. This was because of the working conditions of the waste pickers, the smell, the smoke, the countless numbers of different unwanted items were all too intense. This waste mountain has layers of rubbish mixed with dust and soil layered over each other, creating always an optical geological sphere. As I looked at those layers, I sensed there was something that can be called Westocene, a term which was also coined by Marco Armiro in 2017. This term Westocene is not only about wasted materials, but also about wasted human lives. Um, so, throughout society, scavengers or waste pickers portrayed as big black birds hovering over the dumps, eating the leftover food that people throw away. Embarrassed by such a perception, some of them hide that they work and live at the landfill from family members, relatives and friends. According to the governor of the Horror Committee, many children of families working at landfill don't go to school or kindergarten, and they don't want to go themselves. The children of those families are marginalized in the school environments, ashamed of going to school, and isolate themselves from society because they have poor clothes, do not have smartphones, and some other issues. So the more I listened to such stories, the more these long fence around Ulanchulot seemed to me like a high wall separating them from society. Waste pickers, however, a huge part of Mongolia's waste recycling sector. So here's another passage from my field notes. I made 1, 2, and 3 steps. I came across 1, 2, 3, and 4 masks. Counting 1, 2, 3, I got 1,770,209. This was the number of masks used per day in Mongolia during COVID-19. The large number of contaminated face masks on the dump site made me realize a serious issue that we are facing in Mongolia. Since there is no clear and efficient waste management system, there is no large domestic waste recycling plants, especially for medical and toxic waste. There is no infrastructure, policy, or care in place. All waste is mixed during sorting, loading, transporting, and unloading of household, medical, and toxic waste at the landfill. Garbage collectors, or people who make a living from landfills, are known to work informally. However, they have a significant impact on the normal operation of Mongolia's waste sector. Thus, from the many tons of mixed waste, they manually collect, sort, and then hand over recyclable materials to retailers to recycle the waste materials. Tochtach taught us how to spot and pick up qualified garbage or shartlach based on their hierarchical classification system. For example, you shouldn't pick up broken plastic bottles, as Tochtach says, meaning not all waste are worthy or valuable garbage, and there is a mass of common rubbish in Mary Douglas' term. His expertise is in plastic bottles. Another friend, Tugultur, a young guy who hosts us, who hosts me and my assistant Soda, is Tochtach's partner in collecting, sorting, bagging, boarding, and selling bottles. There's almost a 20-year age gap between them, and they find each other more trustworthy and responsible than other male workers with drinking problems. Tugultur told us, "It's sad to see our friends at Ulanchulot disappear one by one. They can't survive the winter. It's too harsh for them because some don't have their own home or shelter to hide from the cold, and they freeze to death. I'm afraid another friend will die in the coming winter," referring to one of our interlocutors. So, as I said earlier, journalists and TV reports often portray waste pickers as dangerous, hopeless alcoholics, or bone-lazy people who live on social welfare. This phenomenon is not unique to the waste pickers at Ulanchulot, but is a common experience among the people who do any kind of job at landfills around the world. For example, anthropologist Joshua Brenner mentions in his article, see here, he argues that his informants' concerns about scavenging demonstrate that the politics of value are not just competitions over the acquisition of things, but about the power to define what and who is worthwhile. So similarly, here I would like to ask, who is worthwhile to have care for? How should we include them in waste management policies or in social safety nets? So now let me share another story of my informant who had no home of his own. He usually spends the night at the landfill and has no income source other than the landfill. He worked at the landfill for 7 years and collects plastics, copper, and mostly metal objects. He works every day from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and he earns an average of 25,000 rubles. In this picture, he's wearing a vest with the words Labor and Welfare Department found in the trash, which is a very ironic scene. Before he went to the dump, he did many other jobs as construction work or carrying goods at markets. However, when he was working as a flour carrier at Asmantara company, he was seriously injured by the harvested flour, and since then, he has been unable to do the above-mentioned heavy labor and starts working at landfill. He was not eligible to receive disability benefits or food stamps available to target groups due to the lack of documents. There are many people who work at landfills face difficulties in not being able to receive any government decisions and information in a timely manner due to reasons such as the inability to use smartphones or not to connect to electricity and internet. They're not able to benefit from emergency aid and care due to the fact that there's no one they know in the horror committee, and they were excluded from the target group due to unfair or uncontrolled assessment of living standards or emergency aid care package during lockdown. During my last visit in 2021 at Ulanchuzot, West workers were talking about one issue that is threatening their treasure at Ulanchuzot, which was the rumor of closing down the Ulanchuzot dump site in a few years. It turned out that rumor was true when Sandak Suruk, the first deputy mayor of Ulaanbaatar city in charge of economy and infrastructure, confirmed it will be closed in 2024, so this year. As for the new waste landfill, it's expected to facilitate waste collection, transportation, recycling, and disposal services, and improve operational efficiency and environment and hygiene standards. Homeless families survive from waste now risk becoming pushed aside by infrastructure modernization projects. For those who share the same vulnerability and struggle, the messy landfill is their home, their office, and their communal space. Again, I'm asking here, how should we include waste workers in waste management? Or will there be any such concerns about when the government modernize the traditional landfills and companies build recycling factories? Will there be any discussion about compensation for this economic displacement and loss of livelihood? I would argue that closing down the landfill or building another used recycling factory in the capital city is not solving the issues of West sector or the West scene in Mongolia. This is where I would like to challenge the notion of resilience. In dealing with social conditions, we tend to believe that those who need care and support are always resilient. So we take the "they will somehow survive" neoliberal approach. 2 winters later, after my conversation with Tuguldur about the tragic deaths at the Ulanchuzot due to homelessness, illness, and alcoholism, our friend and my interlocutor passed away just as too little worried. I heard this news just a few days ago from Toktok as I was preparing for this paper. Here, as a friend, I struggle to talk about such a tragic story with the public. However, at the same time, as a researcher, I feel it's my responsibility to deliver it due to his huge contribution to this research. He supported and cared for me during my stay at Ulançootluq. So this paper is dedicated to him. Okay, thank you. So my part is done. So our next co-presenter, Professor Timuçin, will share his findings. Yeah, thank you.